Hello everyone and welcome to my channel. This is Elise here of Plan with Elise, and today we are making a book recommendation page. This is a custom 2 pages for my patron Erica, who has recently gotten into reading or back into reading. And while she has been watching some of my reading recap videos that I've done over the last 2 years, she's looking for a more condensed list of my recommendations and books that I would definitely say to pick up. So while I do have reading trackers in my Etsy shop, the main ones that have bookshelves, which I think is ideal for this type of page, are made for 50 and 100 books. And I felt like that may not be ideal for what I'm trying to do here. So what I did pull out were the 2 Wrong Wrong and JoJo's Pretty Paper Shop bookworm sticker books. So this one has a reading tracker with, I don't know how many books are on there. This one also does, but oh wait, this one has 2. Okay, this is actually what I'm looking for, because this one has 2 and I was like, those 2 don't match, but I didn't realize that this has 2 on there. So this is kind of perfect. Now I'm doing this on an open 2-page spread instead of left and back and front. I'm gonna say what I said, left and right. I don't know that I want to include the feet to the bookshelf because I feel like, I'm trying to figure out how I want to do this. I want to make sure there's room for other things. I could get rid of the feet, but as I'm also looking at this, I'm wondering if there may be an opportunity to do something kind of cool. So sometimes these ideas just pop in as we're doing this. What if I were to put this down, cut it out, and then put a sticker on the other side? I think we're going to try it. Sometimes I take a risk. Sometimes it works out. Sometimes it doesn't. Or do we just, actually, I feel like it might be kind of cool to do the whole thing. But the challenge here is matching up with the discs. All right, we're going to do it this way. I feel like I might regret doing something a little bit more complex than I originally planned, but we're going to try it anyway. So my thought here is to cut this out. These scissors are new, but they're they almost get a little stuck when they're new. I have to wake them up a little bit, warm them up. And then we take this. The reason I'm cutting this one out first before I do the back is because I'll never be able to match the back. If you've ever seen me try to match and cut anything, it doesn't work out very well. So we're gonna do this side first. I feel like these might get real. All right, unfortunately my phone stopped recording and I didn't realize, but I turned it on and off, so hopefully that solves the issue. But what I did was I put this on the back and front and cut it out. And then the idea is that Erica can have this little flip in here too. So what I'm gonna do is grab Alpha Basics by Kelly Plan, and we're going to spell out my name because these are my recommendations. I can't mess this up, right? I'm very particular when I'm sending someone an email, whether it's through my full-time job or Etsy or Patreon. Anytime I'm sending someone an email, I'm very sure to double check the spelling of their name. I usually, if I mess it up, I usually catch it pretty quickly and email back to apologize because of my name having such a unique spelling. If you are new here and you don't know the backstory of my name, actually, I'm not even sure I've ever explained this, but let me explain it. So in the Jewish religion, it's customary to use the first initial of someone who's deceased in order to name the next not the next child, but if you're going to name, I should have put that lower. It's okay. If you're going to name a child after someone, you typically take the first initial. So my, I'm trying to decide how I want to do this. Let me pause on the name. Recommended books. Okay, we can do that. How do you spell recommended? Does anyone else always mess up if it's 2 C's or 2 M's? I think it's 2 C's. We're going to do it. And then if I figure out that it's wrong, I'll fix that later. But, okay. So before I was born, shortly after my brother was born, my father's father passed away, my grandfather, and his name was Irving. And so when I was born 2 years later, they wanted to honor him, and they didn't know. I feel like this doesn't look right. I got to figure it out. I knew it didn't look right. It's 2 M's, not 2 C's. They didn't know if I was going to be a boy or a girl, so they chose a name for each, and Elise with an I, and I would have been Ian if I were a boy. Now, ironically, both of my grandpa's names were Irving. So my grandpa that recommended, I don't know if this spacing is going to be right. Both of my grandpa's names are Irving. So my poppy that I did know, who died in 2020, his name was also Irving. So it's really special. I mean, I was really named after my dad's dad, but I like that they're both Irving. You know what? We're going to, instead of recommended books, we're going to do recommendations. That will fit. I hope. It should fit. A T I O N and S. Okay, I'm glad that I double checked the spelling. I'm a really good speller. There are just some words that I tend to mess up. Okay, now, still not sure how I'm going to use this page. We're going to figure it out. In the meantime, I'm going to put it to the side. And what I'm going to do is grab my reading journals from 2023 and 2022 to look back at what I read. Because if someone said to me, what books do you recommend? I might be able to give them a couple of ideas, but I'd really have to look back because I read so much that I'd need a more thorough view. So I'm going to, I think, do 2 categories here. We're going to do thriller and we're going to do more contemporary romance. So when I'm looking, and then the idea is that I'm going to write the titles in here and Erica can color them in as she reads them, or, you know, if she chooses to read them. So it's funny to look back. Now, the one I'm going to write in here, even though this was a 2021 pick, but this I'm going to write Verity. Verity is actually the book that got me back into reading. I decided I wanted to kind of pick up reading again, and Heather recommended Verity because Heather Kell. I've always been a nonfiction person. I always believed that we should read the stories that are true. And Heather got me to read Verity. And then, of course, I went down a Colleen Hoover rabbit hole, as many would understand. And that's kind of the book that started it all for me. So I'm looking now for mainly contemporary romance, though I don't know that I'd fully include Verity as a romance. It's sort of both of them, but we're going to do November 9, which is also a Colleen Hoover book. And then book lovers, I could kind of take or leave. At Emily Henry. Emily Henry is a great author, but I could take it or leave it. And Erica and I have had that conversation. So In 5 Years is a great book. I actually was at not Barnes and Noble. I was at Target the day before New Year's and I was looking at the books, and there was a woman looking for a book, and she had that and something else in her hands. And I was like, In 5 Years was so good. It's by Rebecca Searle. And I read it in one day. And she was like, oh, I'm looking for something quick to get to my goal of this year. And like in those moments, I want to talk to them and be like, are you on Bookstagram? Are you on Instagram? Are you on Goodreads? But I didn't. I just recommended it. Okay. It Ends With Us and It Starts With Us are two Colleen Hoover books that I was talking to Erica about last night. So I'm going to put them in here because I want this to be my recommendation. Whoops. Correction tape. Just had it because I knew I made a mistake recently today. It Ends With Us and It Starts With Us. Okay, now Between You and Me, Nowhere for Very Long, The Hard Way Home, Reminders of Him. Reminders of Him was great. Actually, Erica had asked if that should be her first Colleen Hoover book, and I said no. While it was a really good book, I don't think it should be the first because it can be a tough read, like an emotional read, and I didn't want that to be her first experience. And then Age Mark Too Late. Let's see. Oh, Malibu Rising I really liked, but I don't know if that is considered a romance. I feel like I've really read more thriller as I'm looking at this. Okay, so those are 2022. And then let's take a look at 2023. Okay, these are Colleen Hoover books. I just never used that. Wait, but there's more than this. Hold on. This can't be right because there's some missing here that I know I read in 2022. Unless I had made my reading tracker. This might not be accurate because Quicksilver definitely wasn't the last book I read. You know what we can do? Did I switch things up? Like, I know I finished this planner, but I actually just went and pulled it down from my bookshelf or from my den, because I haven't looked at it in a while because it's over a year old. So Reminders of Him in 5 years. We looked at that. It Ends With Us. There's a specific set of Colleen Hoover books that I'm looking for, and I just want to get the order of them right because All Your Perfects, that one was good, but there we go. Ugly Love. No, not Ugly Love, Point of Retreat and Slammed. Why is my brain not doing this? It's the Maybe series. There we go. Maybe Someday, Maybe Not, and Maybe Now. That's what I was looking for. I knew I just wanted to get the order. So Maybe Someday was first, right? Yep. We're going to do Maybe Someday. Maybe Now. And I screwed that up. Maybe Not and Maybe Now. It's okay. Maybe Not. We have to fix these though, because I can't have them out of order. Maybe Not. Maybe Now. Okay, now I can't put too many in here because I have other books that I want to read or that I want to share. So that was 2022. Now, as I'm looking at 2023, I think I'm going to look at it this way. These are going to be a lot of thrillers, I have to say. Carrie Soto Is Back is a great book. I don't know if I'd consider it romance, but I'm going to put it in here. Carrie Soto Is Back. Oops. This is by Taylor Jenkins Reid. I love almost everything Taylor Jenkins Reid writes. There's one or two books that weren't 100% my favorite. Daisy Jones and the Six is one of those. Drowning, Happy Place to Push, His and Her. Wait, I'm going in a weird way. I went that way. These are definitely going to be more of thrillers. Let's see. Summer I Turned Pretty, I thought was a really great book. It's more, I think, young adult, but we're going to put it here. I think Erica would enjoy it. I turned pretty. I really liked that. I read that series pretty quickly. And then I really loved One Italian Summer. I think that's Rebecca Searle too. It's funny, recently at that same day in Target, I was with my mom and she asked me, reading so many books, how do you actually absorb them? Do you know what's happening? Do you remember them? And if you ask me what books I read last year, I probably off the top of my head would be able to tell you a few, but as I'm looking at this, like it it does something for me. Just like I'm looking at my planner and it brings me back. If I saw Eight Perfect Murders and I was like, "Oh, I started that on the plane ride back from Washington D.C. Go Wild. Heather recommended it." I I remember the premise of each of these books, even if I may not be able to, off the top of my head, list them all out. Um, let's see, My Daughter's Boyfriend, Sunshine of Your Love. I liked that book. Sunshine of Your Love. We can do that here. Now, at the time of filming this video, I haven't finished this reading journal because I haven't filmed my flip through, but there are other books in here that I haven't talked about yet, but when you're shooting this, I have. So sorry, we're going a little bit out of order here. Another book is Before. Actually, this isn't romance. This is more mystery, but it's not like thriller. So this is a Reese's Book Club pick by Ella Berman, Before We Were Innocent. Okay. And then I think we'll leave these here. Oh, wait, no. What did I read this week there were two books that I read this past week that I felt were really great contemporary romance style books to include. So I just need to open my bookshelf. One of them is going to be After I Do. And this is by Taylor Jenkins Reid. And the other is Forever Interrupted, which is also by Taylor Jenkins Reid. Okay, so those are some romance books for Erica to start with. I was just making sure I put these right side up. Now we need thriller. So I'm going to do First Lie Wins, which was the Reese's Book Club pick of January, and an amazing book. And then the other one I'm going to do was one of my last reads of 2023, which is one of the best books I've ever read. And that was called What Lies Between Us by John Mars. Okay, now going back to thriller. So this is the thriller side. We have The Wife Upstairs is a great book. We'll do that. Essentially, most things by Daniel Hurst and John Mars and Frida McFadden are all books that I'd highly recommend. The Housemaid's Secret, The Surrogate Mother. The Housemaid series, I believe that Erica is starting with, so I don't know that I need to write it in here. The Perfect Murders. Gone Again is a good book. I don't have room for authors in here, so I'm always like happy to help if she asks, who wrote it. But I was trying to really figure out the best way to do this. Drowning and Falling. Okay, so I want these to be next to each other. So Falling was the first book and Drowning is a second. They're not it's not a series, so you can read them independently of one another, but they're both really, really good books. I don't recommend reading Falling anytime before getting on an airplane. I did, big mistake. I don't recommend reading Drowning before you're about to get on a boat. But other than that, well, yeah, we're gonna leave it at that. But they're both really, really good books, and my cousin had recommended them to me. All right, The Kind Worth Killing was an awesome book. That's by Peter something. The Kind Worth Killing. There's also The Kind Worth Saving. Her Last Hour. Definitely a book that had me freaking out, which isn't, I don't always get like a real reaction from books, and that one did it to me. It's like scared me. The Surgeon, really, really good book. Vanishing Half, let's see. I do have more thorough reviews on all of these books on my YouTube channel. So I'll probably do a playlist. I'll include this in my reading playlist. And then we have Balance Between Us, Keep Your Friends Close, Thicker Than Water, Daughter's Husband, What's Left of Me. My Daughter's Husband I enjoyed. That was an easy read. However, it's a Daniel Hurst read, and I already sent Erica a list of Daniel Hurst books. I have a printable in my Etsy shop of all Daniel Hurst books, and I gave her that for her freebie of the month. All of my patrons get one freebie from my Etsy shop. So I wanted to avoid doing a lot of Daniel Hurst in here because she already has that list. We do have When She Returned by Lucinda Berry. So one of the requests that Erica had is to let her know if any of these are major trigger warnings. So I decided that I'm not going to include the trigger warning books in here. Like Saving Noah and The Perfect Child by Lucinda Berry are both massive trigger warning books. I'm not going to include those, but I can always talk through any others. Or Very Long, Reminders of Him. One of Us Is Next was okay. Sorry, you can't fully see what I'm doing here. I'm just looking for some more thrillers to include because I have read a lot of them. So Saving Noah, you can sort of see, and Falling. Appetite for Innocence is another huge trigger warning. Let's see. I really loved the 1996, 1997, and 1998 series. Those are more of romance actually. So I was going to say, I'm going to do 1996, 1997, and 1998. I read those when I had COVID, but those are great books if you're looking for pretty easy reads. 216, 253, and 250 pages. Love Hypothesis. Do Not Disturb by Frida McFadden was great. So was The Inmate. Emma in the Night was really interesting. Let's do that. That's one that I don't hear a ton about. I'm also purposely leaving some of these I'm leaving some of these blanks so that Erica can fill them in on her own as more books come up that she starts to learn about that she wants to read. The Housemaid, she's already reading or going to read. The Sister-in-Law was good. Should I do that? You know what? Let's do Luckiest Girl Alive. I really liked that book. Luckiest Girl Alive. And then, oh, I already wrote What Lies Between Us. I was like, I don't want to forget to write what I've already read this month. We have the It Starts With Us series, maybe not. The Last Thing He Told Me, great book. Now a series. I thought the book was better. The book's always better, right? And then let's see what else to include. First Date by Sue Watson was pretty good. I like Sue Watson books. I forget about them. I need to spend some time like this going back through the books that I've read and remember what authors I want to go back to. Okay, so we have thrillers. Should I write thrillers across here? Probably, right? Should we make this? We'll do this. Thrillers, and then we have romance. Okay, now back to this page that I have to figure out what to do with. I think that what I want to do is actually leave this as is, because there's other books that I read that are not thrillers and romance, and I want to give Erica the opportunity to fill this in as, like, kind of like I was saying, as more books come up or as she watches future videos of mine, or I can just like reach out to her and be like, hey, add this to your list, it was really good, things like that. And this will give her the the space to be able to add those in. So we're just going to do a little bit of stickering here just to make it, oops, just to make it fun, because we like the fun. And we can do a book sticker over here. And I have to trim off this at the bottom. So while this is probably less stickered than a lot of the custom ones that you've seen me do, it's been fun to be able to kind of create new pages as some of these Patreon custom requests. So I kind of wanted to use this one, but I also feel like it's more fall themed, right? Bookworm Volume 2. It has more of those fall colors. I could also maybe include this on the back. I don't know. I think that this is probably good. So we have this page, and this one. And I think we're set, because if Erica has this book, she can make other pages of like favorite quotes. This video isn't me making a reading journal. It's just me including some of my recommendations and a way for Erica to track it in her planner. So I think that's a wrap. I'm really excited about this. I love when other people get into reading and they like my recommendations, and it's so much fun to be able to do it in your planner, because it's one more excuse to use stickers and write things down. So we are all set. I hope you enjoyed. I'll link these sticker books. I think they're still in stock, but I'll link them in the description, and of course the Alpha Basics as well. And I will see you next time.